You are Locked On Giants Postcast, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KNBR. And today, Web Day, usually win day at home, but not so much today for the Giants as they fall 7-5 to the Miami Marlins. With the loss, they also lose the series 2-1 to a team that came into today 26 games under 500. One pivotal moment in the fifth inning could have turned it all around for the Giants, but Logan Webb couldn't turn a key would-be inning-ending double play, and it came back to haunt him as he gave up 4 runs before the end of the frame. We'll break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please, if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. However you're getting the show, we appreciate you tuning in, and make sure to check out the Locked On Giants Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Ben Kaspick does a great job. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get 3 free weeks of NFL Sunday ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And man, in this one, it started off great for the Giants. Yaz, leadoff home run right after a Logan Webb 1-2-3 first inning. And Logan Webb, man, he was cruising early on, and he definitely ran into a speed bump later on. But the Giants offense jumped out to an early lead, and I thought that was a pretty good sign for a team that struggles to score runs early in games. Yaz, with the home run, gets his 100th career bomb for Mike Yastrzemski. And with that, he and his grandfather, Carl, become one of the few pairings of grandsons and grandfathers with 100-plus home runs in MLB history. Nice little note for your baseball trivia bank. But other than that, it didn't do too much to help this Giants team. I mean, they scored 5 runs today. The offense showed up early in this one, but they couldn't continue to produce runs late in this game, and that proved to be a big issue for this team. In the bottom of the third, the Giants tacked on another run. They showed some good situational hitting. Fitz singles, Chapman singles, and the Wade ground out, but an error on the throw lets the run score. Giants take a 2-0 lead, and then still cruising, Logan Webb comes into the 5th inning. He was still below, I think, like 60 pitches to start that inning. He was, moving today. He had only given up 1 hit all day long before this inning, and after he gave up a single in the early part of the frame and got 1 more out, he gets a ground ball comebacker right back to him, and he spins and throws to second, and his throw is just off enough to pull Tyler Fitzgerald off of the base. He has to lay down the tag to get the runner out at second. Can't finish the double play on the back end at first base, and that was key because after they couldn't turn the double play, the Marlins go on a big 2-out rally, and they score 4 runs in the inning. It was Hensley the next at bat. He singles, and then Fortes, who, by the way, that guy, Fortes, he's the Marlins 9th place hitter. His on-base percentage is like 260 something. And this is the guy who comes up with the big single in that inning to keep the line moving, scores Devers, and puts runners at second and third base, cuts the lead down to 2-1, and then up comes Stowers, who launches a 3-run bomb, gives the Marlins a 4-2 lead. I was actually out at the yard for this one. I hand up in the air. I got duped by the Giants marketing department. I wanted one of them Buster Posey Funko Pops so bad. I left my house in San Francisco here a little late, and there was me stuck at Oracle Park watching 2 awful teams that I suddenly realized I had absolutely no desire to watch. Thank God Logan Webb was pitching today. I always love watching Logan Webb, but let me tell you, Giants Marlins right now has absolutely zero juice for me. I mean, this game, I felt trapped out there at Oracle Park. I mean, both teams failing to do anything that resembles good baseball. The Giants on a couple of plays throwing the ball around like a little league team today. It was it was a good day out at the yard. Don't get me wrong. Any day out at Oracle Park is good. I'm not going to sit here and complain about going out there. But the reason I mentioned that I was out there is I was sitting in the left field bleachers, and Stowers was the Marlins left fielder today. So I can't confirm it was getting rowdy out there. Some people yelling some things as they do out in the bleachers at the left fielders, calling them bums and other things that I can't repeat on this show. And Stowers wearing the number 28 on the Buster Posey Funko Pop giveaway day. He just had the 28 vibes, I guess, the power of 28 flowing through Stowers, and maybe he just used all of that, all of those comments he was hearing out there in left field as some motivation. It was not a cheapie. He got all of that one. That was a massive shot by Stowers. He roped that one, man. It was tough for the Giants in this game after that. I mean, they did score a couple more runs for Stowers. That was just his third home run of the season, but it went 439 feet, man. 105.1 off the bat. This guy just killed that ball. I was thinking to myself, this guy kind of looked like one of those travel ball kids who's got like a million armbands all across everywhere, and he's got the sunglasses and the chains, and I was like, I don't even know who this guy is, what he's doing. He comes up, smashes the 3-run home run. So, he just walked up to all the Giants fans out there in the left field bleachers and said, hold this L, guys. So, and the Giants are doing just that today, holding another L. In the bottom of the fifth, they did actually come back with some fight. They actually loaded the bases, the Giants did, with nobody out. And then Matt Chapman ground out with the bases loaded, scores a run, doesn't get doubled up on the play, which is good. The Giants then cut the Miami Marlins lead to 4-3. And then Mark Canha comes up with a big single on a ground ball to right field, ties it up at 4. And then Gerard Encarnacion comes up with a sac fly to score another run. Great situational hitting by the Giants. I've said that almost never this year. So we got to give the offense credit. They finally put up they responded with a crooked number of their own. They put up 3 runs in the bottom of the 5th inning. But after that final out of the 5th inning, after they took out the starting pitcher today, and I think they had 1 reliever come in before the end of that 5th inning. Maybe they had to go to 2. But point being, once the Marlins bullpen got in, they shut down the Giants offense, which is the exact opposite of what has been happening all season long to the Giants. They have been so bad against starting pitchers. And then when the bullpens come in, they can usually do some damage. Today, it was the exact opposite. This Marlins starting pitcher, this guy had an ERA up near 8. He hit 3 different batters today, and the Giants couldn't really score very much against him. They got it going there in the 5th inning. The guy did come back out to pitch the 5th. The starter, McCoffin, I think his name was, Darren McCoffin, and he was subbed out after he gave up a walk and a single to start the 5th inning. So 2 of those runs were charged to him. But prior to that point, dude was avoiding damage on the bases pretty much all day long, even though he clearly had no control of the strike zone. The Giants just swinging out a ton of bad pitches up at the plate, giving the Marlins a lot of free strikes. The Giants struck out 11 times today, and the Marlins starter, well, he only struck out 2 guys. So that means the bullpen struck out 9, and that's tough because the Giants have actually hit bullpens pretty well today. Also against the bullpen, or pretty well this year, but not today. Also against the Marlins bullpen, they only picked up one hit, and it came in that 5th inning during that rally. The rest of the way, no hits from this Giants offense against this Marlins bullpen. I want to remind you guys, the Marlins, with the win, including the win today, are 51-86. This is a terrible, awful, barely even qualifies as a Major League Baseball team. I was interested because I know that the Marlins had a massive fire sale at the trade deadline. So I looked up what their current active 26-man roster payroll is, and it's the lowest in Major League Baseball. It's $10 million. $10.7 million is the Miami Marlins' entire active payroll for the 26-man roster. And this team just beat the Giants 2 games out of 3 at home. This is the low point of the season for the San Francisco Giants. I don't know how much worse this team can play right now. I mean, you are going out there and losing games to the Marlins. In the 6th inning, the Marlins, we got to get to how they took that lead back. In the 6th inning, Sanchez singled, stole second base, then Bride doubles, a run scores, 5-5 tie game for the Marlins. Then the son of Mr. Marlin himself, Griffin Conine, singles and puts runners at the corners. Then a Lopez ground out, scores runner from third base. Marlins take a 6-5 lead. They added on one more run in the top of the seventh after a sac fly, gave them one more insurance run, gave the Fish a 7-5 lead there in top seven. And the Giants just couldn't get base runners. It seemed like after the fifth inning, I don't know if they must have had one, maybe two base runners for the rest of this game. It just blew by after it kind of, lingered around for that first little bit. Yeah. After Emmanuel, the first arm out of the pen, exited this game, the entire rest of the way, the Marlins did not give up a base runner. They did not give up a strikeout or a walk for the entire rest of the game. So, your last three and a half innings, this Giants team just laid down and died. And this is what we've come to expect from a team that just can't get anything going. Whatever, I'm now officially like an old guy. I'm over 30. So I shouldn't be using this slang, but the kids these days always talking about aura, right? The Giants have, if there's such thing as negative aura, the Giants have negative 1,000 aura lately. This team is just so bad, so pathetic, so just no juice at all. And they're boring, man, straight up boring to watch, where you go through stretches and stretches of time where this team just is uninteresting. 11 strikeouts. Come on, 11 strikeouts and you barely can generate base runners. You drew 2 walks in this game from a pitcher when the starting pitcher hit 3 dudes. That guy clearly had no control out there. That first pitch of the game to Mike Yastrzemski that he jumped all over, 90 miles an hour, four-seamer right down the pipe. This guy was just laying out meatballs or completely missing the strike zone. And the Giants looked like a bad high school team up there trying to hit a pitcher who's clearly going to have a future playing college baseball. It looked like one of those days. And this is the Marlins that they look like this against. The worst team in the National League. This is pathetic. Pathetic. This is the lowest point of the season for this Giants team. They are 2 games under 500 now with the loss. And I realize that there have been points in the season where they've been 6 games under 500 or worse. I think maybe 6 was the low water mark for the record. But vibes-wise, this team is deflated, has absolutely no anything. Why would you want to go out to the park? I sat there today looking around Oracle Park, just baffled why so many people were there to watch this garbage team. I'm not saying don't go out and see the Giants. Obviously, it's a fun time out at Oracle Park. It's a Labor Day weekend. It was beautiful, beautiful day for baseball. But a lot of that kind of goes by the wayside when you're reminded by the quality of the play on the field and how putrid this team really is. You go through innings at a time where you could just completely check out of this game and you would miss nothing, because this Giants team does nothing for the vast majority of this game. After the 5th inning, if you just turn the TV off, you didn't miss anything. You got everything you needed from the Giants offense, at least. Logan Webb pitched okay until he didn't in the 5th inning. First 4 innings were great. And then they just fell apart. 100% just fell apart. And there was that one big pivotal play for Logan out at second base. And I hate to pin it on Webby, but I got to put this one on Webby. There's it's a tough play to make when you got the comebacker and you got to throw stepping back onto the mound. You're kind of stepping uphill with that foot that you're stepping towards second base with to make the throw. So it creates a weird angle. But he had a ton of time. He needed to gather, make that play. And if he just makes even an okay throw to Fitzgerald, he's probably able to turn to on that one. We got to take a quick break here on the Locked On Giants postcast. On the other side, we got to go through more of the lowlights of this game. There weren't too many highlights, so let's go through more of the lowlights on the other side. My name's Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Today's show is sponsored by FanDuel, and you've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you today. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet just $5 and get a free 3-week trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. And trust me, do not sleep on this deal, because this is the best way to watch NFL football. I mean, I this is the exact same setup I have for my football viewing experience, and I can't imagine another way to get through the NFL season without NFL Sunday Ticket. With YouTube TV and a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every single regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. And really, in 2024, is there any other way that you should be watching football? Like, go get your two TVs, or if you don't want to do the two TVs, you can do the multi-box view. You get everything you want all at once. Red Zone, you get everything. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel any time. Just visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast, and I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. And yeah, man, this one was a not a fun game for the Giants. A 7-5 loss for the Giants. I mean, at home to the Miami Marlins in the rubber match of a series in September. It is September now, and the Giants are losing series to a team that's 26 games under 500. This team is not a good team. They are not a playoff team. I don't care how many people want to throw around the phrase, the best starting pitching staff in all of baseball. My God, how tone deaf does that look at this point when your ace goes out and gets rocked the way that Logan Webb did today? And there's no two ways about it. Like, I love Logan Webb. Logan Webb's my favorite pitcher in all of baseball to watch pitch. I mean, Paul Skeens is super fun. There's a lot of really talented guys out there to watch, but Logan Webb, for my money, the way he works fast, the way he keeps guys involved, the way that the ball is like actually in play, and he hits his strikes, he hits his spots in the strike zone when he is on. And early in this one, Webby was on. He only gave up one hit and looked, I mean, super dominant for the first 3-4 innings in this one. I mean, he was, I mean, mowing down dudes. He had a bunch of strikeouts through the first couple innings, was striking out at least like one or two guys per inning, and was giving up like no solid contact at all. And most of those runs didn't really come on much solid contact other than that Stowers home run, which just seemed to fly forever on a nice hot day out here in San Francisco. And Logan Webb, we praise Webb when he's on. We got to talk about it when he's not. And today he was not. And it just all unraveled right after that would-be double play. And it's just like, kind of like last night. There was one point in the game where it just tipped the scales in the favor of the Marlins because the margins were that close for the Giants. But let me tell you, the margin shouldn't be that close against the Miami blanket Marlins. They're 26 games under 500. I think 25 maybe now after the win today. Yeah, they're only 25 games under 500. Gabe Kapler's Miami Marlins. It's just not. It just wasn't very good today for the Giants. And I mean, the exit velo for Logan Webb, average exit velo was 85.8, so it was lower, a little bit lower than usual. And I mean, he was really doing a good job in the beginning of this game, and he just got bit by that one double play. If he makes that play, no runs score in that inning, and the Giants keep cruising, and Webby's got like less than 70 pitches going into that next inning, going into the sixth inning. And I think that completely changes the outcome of this game if he does that. And this one just didn't go the Giants' way. And there's been a lot of things that really haven't gone the Giants' way. And now in Webb's last two home starts, he's given up a combined total of 10 runs, which is not great for a guy who really has succeeded a lot at Oracle Park early in his career. I think we got to stop saying early in Webb's career now, because he's not really early in his career anymore. He's definitely in the middle part of his career, one of the veterans of this pitching staff full of very young guys. But Webby gave up 8 hits today. So by the end of it all, he had only given up 1 hit coming into the 5th, and it just unraveled for him. Unraveled through the 5th and the 6th innings for Logan Webb. All of a sudden, the Marlins bats just kept finding the ball. And I mean, I know I ripped Bomel, or I have a lot in these last couple of weeks for his bullpen management, but man, I feel like he just left Webb out there for way too long. I don't really know why he came back out for the 6th inning. I think he had 74 pitches at that point when the 6th inning started, but he had already given up 5 runs or 4 runs. And I'm not really sure. He didn't have anybody really even warming up down there. I'm not really sure what's going on with the bullpen management. I just don't get it. I don't get it. And we had a up and down inning from Doval today. He gave up a run after that phenomenal ninth inning that he pitched. I believe that was last night. It's just so much inconsistency from top to bottom throughout this whole roster. Giants, again, talking inconsistency, 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position, left 5 on base. The Marlins, 4 for 7. And that's really the difference in this one, is the Marlins were able to keep the line rolling just a little bit longer than the Giants were. And even when the Giants had opportunities to continue drives, to continue innings and put up a crooked number, like they did get that 5th inning. They had some good situational at bats. That was nice. But you have to do that throughout the game. You can't just have one good inning and call it good and be done with it. And yeah, I know it's Logan Webb on the mound. And usually when you give Logan Webb 5 runs of run support, he's going to go win you a game. It just wasn't that way for the Killer Whale today. It was nice and hot out there. I mean, it's late in the season. Webb has pitched more games of 7+ innings than any other pitcher in all of baseball. I mean, he's got to be shouldering at least some of the weight of the length of the season and how long and grueling it's been lately, and how much he has really put on himself to try and carry this team through various stretches of this season. And just an overall, like at the end of the game, I heard Kruk and Kipe say it was just a disappointing loss, just a disappointing series, and really just a disappointing season for the Giants. And that's just where we're at right now. And, especially disappointing day for me, Triple E, because I got duped into going to watch this mess out there at Oracle Park, and I didn't even get my Buster Posey Funko Pop. Man, I'm just taking all sorts of L's today. And so are the San Francisco Giants. With the loss, they fall down to 68-70 on the season. We're in the month of September, folks. This team is under 500. They're not going to the playoffs. I'm not even going to tell you how many games back they are, because I'm not even going to look, because it doesn't matter, because all that matters is it's insurmountable. Time to focus on next year. Time to focus on the youth. Time to see what these kids got. And I have kind of an interesting question, since I don't really want to talk more about the Giants losing this series to the Marlins, because I think I might just go take a bath with my toaster afterwards if I do. So let's talk about a question that I've been kind of pondering a little bit, because I've been watching Tyler Fitzgerald at shortstop, and I love Tyler Fitzgerald at the dish. We need his bat in this lineup every single day, without a question. But where's he fit in defensively? Is this guy a shortstop going forward? Maybe if not, where do they put him on defense? Let's talk about that, because this has been on my mind the last few days. And with this game, it's time to focus on next year, man. And we got to move on from the putridness of this year's team. We got to wash the stench off somehow and have something positive to focus on for next year. And that's what the Giants got to start building on every single day, is getting better for next season. Abandon your hopes of going to the postseason. Just build for next year. So we'll get into two things. One thing that I think the Giants absolutely need to do before the end of the season to build on, to get ready for next year and build on this emerging rookie group, this young core. And we'll also talk about where Tyler Fitzgerald could fit in defensively next season, because I'm really not so sure if it's at shortstop. Defensively, obviously, we need the bat in the lineup. But let's take a quick break here, go over all that on the other side. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. And today's show is sponsored by Game Time. I love live events, from concerts to sporting events and everything in between, and I rely on Game Time to get my tickets, just like I did today when I went out to Oracle Park and sat out in the bleachers. Was sitting there yelling at people, calling them bums all day in left field, only for them to turn around and smash a 3-run home run to give the Marlins this win. So yeah, that was a fun experience, but it's always a good time out at Oracle Park. And make sure you're using Game Time, because they have a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I also love the all-in pricing feature. I hate hidden fees so much, man. And toggling this feature on shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. I'm not a surprises guy. Get rid of those surprise fees by toggling this feature on for the all-in pricing. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Receipt of copy does not constitute an order. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and I'm looking at the chat, and man, a lot of people, I mean, every other chat that I'm looking at, every other comment is Farhan's gotta go. Man, it was tough, man, seeing this roster just fall apart again. And I'm not sure if I pinned this entire season on Farhan. At the end of the day, guys gotta deliver. And I mean, yes, he, has swung and missed at a lot of big name free agents. I mean, we don't need to run through the entire list of them and make ourselves all worked up. We already know how many this guy has missed out on, but he did go and get the best of what was available in this offseason. I firmly believe that. I don't know if there were better signings to make for the Giants than Matt Chapman, Blake Snell, and Jorge Soler. I don't know if there were guys that wanted to come here. I really don't. And I don't know if I can blame that on Farhan. Certainly he's got to sell the team, make a competitive offer. And if guys don't want to come, you got to pay them more at the end of the day. And it's not like the Giants are strapped for money. They own that ballpark. They are not paying it off anymore. They own it. So, I mean, they're making money hand over fist every single home game. They have the coffers to go and get a Shohei Ohtani and overpay for him, to go and get an Aaron Judge and overpay for him. But that's where the Giants are at right now. They need to overpay guys to come here, and they're just not doing that. So I'm not sure if I blame Farhan entirely for that. Who knows how much the ownership is actually willing to loosen the grip on some of those coffers to go and pull some more big names in. I mean, it's interesting to see what this is going to look like this offseason if Farhan is indeed going to be the guy making these decisions. I honestly don't get the vibe from the Giants that they do not want Farhan back. I get the vibe that he's going to have at least one more year. And if this is a repeat again next season, then maybe there will be a change, because the fan vitriol will just be at an all-time high if that happens. But I do foresee Farhan, much to the dismay of a lot of Giants fans, making the decisions in this coming off season. And we'll see. I mean, it's do or die time for Farhan Zaidi. I think he knows that at this point, if he is indeed back next year. But who knows? I mean, they did fire Gabe Kapler last year. Maybe they'll pull the trigger with Farhan this year as well. But I did pose the question, is Tyler Fitzgerald the shortstop of the future defensively for this Giants team? I think without a doubt, Tyler Fitzgerald is going to be in this lineup somewhere in the top half of the order for the foreseeable future. I don't think that's a question. The only question for me is where this guy's going to play on defense, because he has been a utility guy for most of his career. We've seen him play center field, second base, shortstop, first base. Did we see him at third? I think we might have seen Fitz at third at some point in a Giants uniform, maybe last year at some point. I can't remember, but point being, this guy can play pretty much every position on the field. I think he's even like the emergency catcher, which is, I mean, this guy can do everything, but he doesn't really do one thing specifically better than the rest. And for me, I kind of want my shortstop to be really good at playing shortstop. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying Fitzgerald is terrible, or like unplayable. He's no Marco Luciano at the position. But I don't know if Tyler Fitzgerald is a shortstop of the future. We saw him make a nice sliding stop at short today. He actually didn't record the out on the play, but it did prevent a run from scoring temporarily. It did end up scoring a little later on, but it prevented a ground ball to the left side of the infield from getting through. And he, again, didn't have a play at first, but he made the stop. And Fitz has a good glove and things like that. But I don't know, man. What I'd like to see the Giants do in the offseason is go get a big name shortstop who's got a big bat and move Fitz over to second base. And I know that is immediately going to bring up the question of what do we do with Brett Wisely, because we're not wondering what they're going to do with Tyro Estrada anymore. We already know what they're going to do with Tyro, as he has been outrighted down to AAA after clearing waivers. I mean, it's the end of an era for last year's Willie Mack Award winner in San Francisco, and that's very anticlimactic for Thairo Estrada. I've loved watching that guy in a Giants uniform. I like the way he plays. I think he plays really hard. Always is giving you hard 90s, running things out, and he's a pretty good defender too for when he's not hurt. But man, Thairo, the injuries have just caught up to him in his career. He is just too inconsistent to play through them right now, and it's a very anticlimactic, bummer way for that to end. But I really don't expect to see Thairo Estrada in a Giants uniform ever again. I don't. And so that leaves a door open at second base because you got kind of a rotating cast that's been filling in over there. Wisely has been getting some time lately, but I don't know if he's really the second baseman of the future anymore. Wisely is a nice utility guy that you can plug and play in a bunch of different positions. I don't know. I think I would like to see Fitz slide over to second base, see the Giants go get like a real bona fide defensive stud at shortstop, like Nick Ahmed, but someone who can actually hit, you know what I mean? Like a Nick Ahmed, Tyler Fitzgerald fusion would be nice. I don't know if we have the technology for that, however, but if we could get a guy like that, that would be excellent, because I think that if you put a Gold Glove caliber shortstop on this Giants team next year, you will have one of the best defenses in all of baseball. You will have Jung-Hoo Lee in center field, and the possibility of a Grant McCray and Elliot Ramos on the corners. And then if you add a really high-end defensive shortstop, I think that equates to the Giants being one of the better defensive teams in all of baseball, especially if Matt Chapman comes back like he says he's going to at third base. That means you have a lockdown left side of the infield. You have Pat Bailey back there at catcher, framing strikes, stealing strikes better than anyone else in the league. And you have an outfield that has crazy good arm strength all over the place and a lot of speed. Not a lot of fly balls would fall into that outfield. And then Tyler Fitzgerald, if he's an average or slightly above average defensive second baseman, that's fine. I don't need him to be any better than that if the rest of that defense looks how it does. And not that defense has been a massive problem for the Giants this year. They were a little rough at the beginning of the season on the defensive side of the ball. But I do think that would bode well for this team, a team that's really built around its pitching. Think about how this team won championships. I've said this so many times. This team won championships through timely hitting. Not guys like they had Barry Bonds for how long? They never won a World Series with him. Dude's hitting, the all-time home run leader, couldn't win a World Series with him. Instead, he went out and won with like Cody Ross and Angel Pagan. I mean, you had guys who were coming up, Marco Scutaro coming up with big hits in big situations, but played solid defense. And you, of course, had the lights out pitching. You have the lights out pitching. You need to complement it with the defense, and you need to get guys who can come up with these timely hits. And I think adding a veteran leader at shortstop who's got a good bat could do the trick for this Giants team. We'll see what happens in the offseason. A long way to go between now and then. But it's nice to kind of take a break and forget that the Giants, again, lost this series 2-1 to the Miami Marlins, who are 51-86 on this season. God, this is painful. This Giants team is, so underachieving. If this team somehow finishes with a worse record than last year's team, I might lose my mind, because last year's team compared to this year's team, you look at the two rosters on paper, one of these is bad and one of these is supposed to be good, but they end up getting the same results. You have to kind of look from top down as to why that's happening. You got to look at the whole entire organization, starting with Farhan, Bob Melvin, and every single guy on this team. You got a lot of older, old guard guys on this team. The Thairo Estradas, Mike Yastrzemski's, and the Michael Confortos, like all these guys. I don't know if we're going to see him back next year in Giants uniforms. I don't know. I would like to see the young youth movement continue, and let's build towards next season. I keep saying it every day, but that's where we're at. That's all the time that we got for you guys today on the Locked On Giants postcast. Webb roughed up today as the Giants lose to the Marlins. He gives up 8 hits and 6 runs in 6 innings of work. And the Giants lose 7-5 out at Oracle Park to the Miami Marlins and lose the series 2-1. They're now 68-70 on the season. They're off tomorrow. We'll keep rolling on Tuesday as the Arizona Diamondbacks come to town, one of the hottest teams in the second half of the season. I'm anticipating another series loss for the Giants. Just laying that one out there for you guys. So on that note, we'll wrap this one up. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.